Crusade of Bards. I'm sorry, the moment I saw like your press release, I popped because I never heard of you guys prior to that. I'm like, wait, pirate metal. I'm in. I haven't even heard you and I'm already in. Pretty hard to steer up
Yeah.
that concept.
Oh, it's I don't have a real clear answer for that. It's just that when we gathered together, Eleanor and myself, singer, we wanted just to create a band that was with the theme and the music that we liked the most. And we were all in bands in the Spanish underground scene before, and we all loved our bands back in the day, but they were not our bands, like fully
Gotcha.
made, like by us. And so we just wanted to do it, and at the beginning it started like a studio project, like with no basic plan ahead. But then we said, okay, let's shape this, let's see what we really want to do from a musical standpoint, which is okay, symphonic metal because we like it, power metal because we like it, but we really do like pirates, right?
Yeah.
So uh, we said all the pirate bands out there, they kind of are the same. Like you have these Ailstorm, Lagerstein, Ramahoy, this kind of Pirates of the Caribbean vibe, that
Yes.
partying and being silly. And we do have also that, but we wanted to be a little bit more real, and just pirates were all over the world for many centuries, so you just don't have these Pirates of the Caribbean style of pirates. And we wanted to give a little twist to the thing there.
Well, pirates as a historic concept. I mean, yeah, we have fun with it. It's silly. There's a certain fun looking at some of that, but there was a time. I mean, there are all kinds of interesting pirates in history. Some of them were, I mean, they were all crooks in some way, but some of them were far more human than others.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so it was the nature of the time and the era that they had to do what they had to do to survive it. Like in some ways, it's weird how little changed. And in one real sense is, um, looking at what's going on in the world today. We're not going to go too deep into politics because I don't think
No,
I don't
please,
have
no.
enough I don't have enough alcohol. I don't think you do either.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
yeah, but I think the human condition element though is eerily similar in that a lot of us are caught up in these big events and we're trying just to figure out different ways to survive. I think for the majority, not all, but for the majority of the pirates that were out there, that's what they did. They just were like, well, we got to do something else on the side, and they became these jack of all trades people. And like I said, there's some really interesting. I don't know if that was your like kind of position on it, but
Yes,
that's
yes.
something.
I've always loved to link stuff that happened historically in the past to stuff that is happening right now. And again, without considering everything that is exactly going on right now, I think that you said something very important, which is the human condition has always been the same, just adapted to the century.
Yeah.
And we've always tried to survive and adapt ourselves, and always tried to live a full life with everything that we could have. And I think that that's very important. And that's why when you try and read the lyrics of our songs, you will always find a link, even if it's a small one sometimes, but a link to something that can be applied today or can be applied to yourself. And that is the thing there, that we look at pirates as somebody that seeks liberty, freedom, without
Mhm.
being attached to a nation, a concept of the nation that was being brewed as we know today, the nations back in the day. And I think that that is the ultimate goal of the pirates. And that's also a link to the name of our band, which is Crusade of Bards. Tell stories which you don't really know where the limit is between reality and something that is fictional. Uh, and you can use them to relate to yourself also and to your life. And I think that's exactly the point that you got there.
You're a big story fan, I can tell. Like
I
you
am
love
a big
these.
story fan. Yes, I love it.
Yeah,
I love story. Yes.
I mean, the name of the band kind of gives it away too. I wish your singer, I wish your singer was here as well because I would be curious on her end of things. But it sounds to me like going back to your music. We'll start with kind of like your musical past a little bit. It sounds to me like when you guys, like you mentioned something about not being your own band. Like when you started, you were just looking to play with people like you who are passionate about music and are passionate about the kind of music you were into. But as you've evolved over time, You're like, okay, this is fun playing in this band, but I'm not telling the stories or the songs, singing the songs I really want to sing here. And that kind of,
Exactly.
and that's an interesting thing because I like bands are a collaboration at all times,
Definitely.
right? So how hard is it like to find people that are in sync with you all the way?
It is very difficult. And the sad thing, don't want to get too sad, but the sad thing is sometimes you have people that are in sync with you, and then during time they get out of sync. And so it's true that us, like every other band, we had our lineup changes and stuff. But I've always tried to find the right people more from a personal point of view than rather than a musical point of view, because I think that once you've been in the scene for quite some years, like all of us, musically you're gonna be good enough. Like it's not that that's not a problem to
Yeah.
think about it. It's more a personal level, and it is hard because we have a concept of a band that is very precise, uh, yet we see ourselves in a sort of duality that it's hard to explain. I'm going to try to explain myself and not get to the people shout at me you're an hypocrite, but we like to do stuff professionally. Like we like to have a good studio to record. We like to have a good production for a video clip. We like to do stuff in the best way possible, yet we still are friends, and we still want to maintain that, and we still realize that this is a fine balance to maintain between being professional while doing your music and while producing your music as a band, and at the same time remain friends, and everybody living good experiences, and treasure all the moments that we spend together.
No, it's tricky when you see. I think the ultimate challenge with band dynamics is this: you have to
Yes,
at least respect each other. Like is a
exactly.
really good goal, but you have to respect each other, right? And on top of that, right, you have to call it like this is the thing about like I like bands are kind of like marriages in one sense, in the sense that you're on the road together, you see go through all the ups, all the downs, and you see each other's bullshit. By the way, you can swear on this show. Don't worry if
Okay,
you
that's good to
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
because I
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
pulling the brakes.
No,
Like,
it's all good. Just be yourself. Listen, I only really have two rules. Don't be a bigot, and you know
well, that's
I
easy.
like it's a good rule, right?
Yeah,
Right. Don't be a bigot. And like I said, we talk about anything. Just be respectful. That's it. Those are my two rules. Everything else, I
yeah.
don't.
All right. Good.
Yeah, we can
Good
talk
to
about
know.
anything you want, but no. The thing is though, you have to put up with each other's shit too.
Yes,
That's
we
not
should do
always
that.
easy. Like the true measurement of I realize this with relationships in general. It's not when things are good that you get along. It's when things go bad. When you are,
Exactly.
yeah, like that's who you really are, and that's a hard. Like, but if you find a group of people that can withstand your professional. Listen, there's things I really like, and on top of that, can deal with your like you're a lucky guy. Like you would be like that's a genuine blessing.
Definitely. Definitely. That's exactly like that. And it's something that I like to tell my bandmates that please don't hide stuff. We like don't get mad and not tell, and don't, because otherwise it piles up, and one day you open the drawer and the drawer explodes into your face. So you don't want to arrive to that point, and sometimes it's inevitable, and sometimes as much as you try not to get to the point, you get to the point. But I think that is always also important to have the bigger picture in mind and understand why we are doing this. And if we are doing this is because we want to live good experience, we want to create good music that we are proud of, we want to make people that listen to our music happy. And if you have these lines in front of you and you understand that this is the paramount of our whole project, then you're gonna be a good fit. Then you're gonna have a good time. I'm not just talking about Crusade of Bards. I'm talking about bands in general,
Any professional
or any
relationship,
figuration. Yes,
right? There's that's the challenge. Like I would do comic books, right? So Sometimes I hire people and I got to deal with their personalities and they got to deal with mine. Or I sometimes feel they get the
Exactly.
short. I sometimes feel they get the short end of the stick, but that's that is what it is. Um, I've been very fortunate with the people I've worked with. I like more than I honestly truly blessed. But what it comes right down to is yeah, like going from a band, then we'll get back into music. It sounds to me like for a very long time when you started, and it was good experience for you, is trying to kind of find your place to where you fit in, right? And then once you figured out that this is what I want to do, like you figured out you had that like come to Jesus moment or that eureka moment or that epiphany of this is the kind of music I want to do. I know what I want. Let's now can I find people like me? Like was there a moment?
It's difficult to say that it was a precise moment that I can, point to the calendar and say, okay, that was the day. I think it was more of a process, and uh, I first wanted to have a clear project in mind before involving anybody, because otherwise you just, making people lose time, and I didn't want that. Uh, I just cannot tell you exactly. It was something organic. So as things were evolving as a studio project yet, I got a call from a friend. So listen, Lagerstein are touring in Spain. Do you want to be a support act? And I was like, okay, Lagerstein is probably the second biggest pirate metal band out there, and we are not definitely ready to play live, but let's do this, because it's once in
What the
once in a
fuck, right?
lifetime. Like, I want to drink shoe is like, I know it sucks, but drink from a shoe is something that you only do around Australians, and I like it and not like it at the same time. It's like both disgusting and a good experience for everybody.
Acquired taste there. I can
Yeah,
tell.
yes, it definitely makes the lager more, well, whatever. And so basically I said, okay, let's do this. And I said, okay, for the drums I have a name. It's Jorge. Is with me in that moment. It was with me in my other band. I get along with the guy wonderfully. So let's just tell him he's on board. I actually told him that I needed him for a couple of shows, and he's been on board since then. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And as for the others, that's more or less how it worked. Like people of the Spanish scene coming together and creating this. And when I explained to them what my plan was, and they were on board, that's it. So it was something organic, and I think that music wise, everything that I wanted to do was, okay, I want to do symphonic metal. I want to put the pirate twist in it to make it different and unique. And but at the same time, while we are composing, I don't want boundaries. Okay, we have to sound like Nightwish. We have to sound like with Intonation. No, no, no. Let's just add the symphonic afterwards to whatever comes up, because that's gonna add unicity to ourselves. So
Yeah.
that was the first step to make people understand.
Okay, first off, I popped. Nightwish is a good choice. Is an excellent band to like, hey,
Yeah, but
yeah.
it's sometimes it's super typical to people, and I actually it's
Yeah.
inevitable, right? You have a
Oh yeah.
lyrical
Oh yeah.
voice, and it's inevitable. And I don't say that I disagree with that, and I don't like it. It's cool, but I wanted to try and escape a little bit as much as I could to
Well,
that, even if it's almost
well,
impossible.
here's the thing, right? This is the thing. Like when you hear Crusade of Bards, you don't want to hear it's a Nightwish clone or a Blind Guardian clone or this clone you want your own unique sound. Now that all said, like as a guy that really digs symphonic metal, I can't help but compare you to these
Oh
people
yes, of course.
because they're good. Let like you're just like, how do you stack up to these guys? Pretty good, by the way. So yeah, right,
Thanks.
yeah. So how do you stack up to these guys? It's just it's one of those things where I think I d- as a writer, I can kind of relate to this. Like I look at the people I really admire. Like I grew up reading Ray Bradbury and Isaac Asimov and Edgar Rice Burroughs and Charles Dellent and all these are, and I really like these guys. And I would be lying to you if I did not steal from them just a little bit, right?
Yeah, so that's of course, it's part of you. It's part of your inspiration. You cannot take it away.
Yeah, of course. So, but at the same time, right? You know this as well as I do. You don't want to just be a clone. Like you start there maybe a little bit when you start, But
Exactly.
at some point, you're gonna like, no, 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 no. What do I bring to the table? What do I stand
Yes.
for?
And that's the good part about being compared to Nightwish actually, is when they say they are like Nightwish but not like, when I'm reading a review and they are saying, oh, this is like Nightwish but, and the but is important, but what
Yes.
comes after the but is important, because that's what I want people to understand, because of course we are an up and coming act, so you cannot expect people to know what we are. So if they read something and they mention Nightwish, okay, it's going in that direction. And if they put a but and they expand it, that's going to open their mind. That's going to make them unique. That's something that I wanted. And this is something that I learned. And I know this is nothing to do with music almost, but I learned from wrestling, from
Yes.
professional wrestling. You have to make an impact. You have to be recognized. You have to be something unique, because you want some kind of response from the crowd. You want the crowd to react at you.
What?
And that's really important.
So I don't know how old of a wrestling fan you are. So this was back in the days when Steve Austin was just before he was the big mega star. This is a long.
Okay,
I'm old.
yes.
I'm old. Shut up. Right. But so at the time when WWE had all these guys that were like doing other jobs, other things, other stuff, he was just a guy, black boots, black trunks. Teddy DiBiase told him, like, look, here's the thing. When you stand out, this is the real challenge as an artist. You have to figure out there's a balance between standing out and connecting to people are familiar with. You got to find that balance, whatever that is. I do epic poetry. I just did an Alice in Wonderland retelling of Alice in Wonderland as Greek mythology. Alice is Pandora, right? It does
Okay.
not fit any one
No,
mold, right?
exactly.
But here's the thing, right? I'm using classic story elements, which much like I think that's why I like power metal so much. We'll get to that in a second. Um, but the thing is, I'm standing out. So the trick now is, okay, I am not going to hit certain markets because I am so different, at least initially. But because I'm so different, because Austin was so different, when he finally connected, he really connected because there was nothing like him. Professional wrestling. I'm a big pro wrestling fan as well. So, but the biggest thing, like looking at all the guys that were really successful, and it's true even with bands, right? They found a way to stand out, right? Okay, so you go like old school, like Kiss. Their music's okay, but what you really think about when you think of Kiss is their
Exactly.
performance. There's nothing like a Kiss show. There's just nothing like it. Not even a
Exactly.
little bit,
The
right?
reaction is so important. That's
Yeah.
why, for example, when we are live, I put a lot of attention into that. And when I like to make another wrestling um, comparison, when I'm live, I'm cutting promos when I speak, because I need that reaction from the crowd, like I'm cutting a promo in pro wrestling. So that's I think that's the key there, that people that are looking at you are not looking at just another symphonic metal band, which you can perfectly be there. There's nothing wrong with it. But I want that reaction. I want to say, well, this guy's a symphonic metal band, but there's a guy screaming, a guy drinking beer, the other one's saying, "Hey, this
That
looks like a folk metal show, but at the same time, it's a symphonic metal." The reaction of the crowd is, paramount there.
you want to create that a unique experience that they haven't experienced. And that's
Exactly.
the cool thing about metal shows. Like I when I go to a metal show, sometimes I'll never forget, even though again their music's only okay, but I'll never forget the guy playing the bass in his bare feet on the stage. It's like, who does this? Metal guys do this stuff all the
Exactly.
time, right? It's just right. So, but that's the thing, right? Like you have to. There's a really tricky balance. You got to figure out what connects the audience to you, right? Once you
Exactly.
figure out that connection, right, then once you have it, you'll be able to carry that. But because again, so you're still trying to figure out what that is. So if I'm going to I'll ask this like the big question, and then we'll get into like some of your music and stuff. How do you believe Crusade of Bards stands out besides the pirate twist?
I think that we have two main sets. The first set, as I said, is the live action. Now, the live action is limited now, right now, has been limited for the last 2 years. And we managed to play live somehow, once in 2020, couple of times in 2021. We managed also to travel to Germany, which is our big market, so to say,
Hmm.
and we're super lucky to be able to do that. And I think that our live action is probably one of our biggest assets. And because of that experience that we bring, we're not going to go up a stage and play 40 minutes songs after song and that's it and go home. That's not just it just doesn't feel right. It has to be a show, and a show means that everything needs to connect, even between songs. And I think that is something that it's. I'm not saying unique, but it stands out. We really have that connection with the
You're
people.
telling a story on the stage. It's like I
Exactly.
like one of my all-time favorite like acts of all time is Alice Cooper.
Oh, yes, well, it's a masterpiece.
It,
It's master. What we did live was a masterpiece. Every single night.
yeah, that again, he told a story the whole time,
Exactly.
right? And that was what made Alice Cooper like, yeah, we don't like he still makes new music. He still has a certain core fan base that buys all his stuff. But when you get right down to it, people go to his shows because he tells a great story and he puts on a great performance every single time. And it's just
Exactly.
that's it.
Well, he's one of the guys, for example, that I don't listen in my house, but if he's around town, I go.
Yeah,
There are,
exactly.
there are some bands that are like that. I will be okay to be one of them, if I have to be honest. And this
No,
brings me. Tell me.
no, no, sorry, I jumped in. Go finish go
All
finish
right.
your point.
Now, this links me to the other asset, which is the storytelling part. I think that that's the second important thing. That I like everything to be connected, and I like everything to have several layers. So you have the music, but inside the music you have several layers in the music. You have the lyrics. The lyrics can be connected, disconnected. You can read the booklet, and that's perfectly fine. Also, you can take the lyrics and just use them as in a storytelling point of view. They are just telling me a story, or you can apply them to your life. And I think that these uh, sort of Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of interconnected everything thing that we have is something that allows the listener to have a very personal experience with the album, even if it's a shallow one or a deeper one. I don't care as much as you enjoy it in a unique way. And I think that taking care of all these different levels allows you to personalize your experience with the music that we do uh, in that way.
So you I'm just gonna ask this as an aside. Have you dabbled like in other art forms like novel writing or other like arts? I'm asking this because you definitely have a mind for like I could see you trying something along the lines of a movie or something down the road. Just to
I,
see
I thought about it. I thought about it. I just don't have the time. And I when I write the lyrics, I do it because I wrote the 95% of the lyrics, let's say. And it's true that I try always to look at them, not almost never from a musical standpoint. I'm not writing a song. I'm writing something else, and it fits into a song. So I don't know if in the future I will be able to do it or I will want to do it, but it's definitely not a door that I have closed.
no,
So
it
who knows?
sounds to me like just based on just our little bit of conversation here, you look at a song from many different light points of view. Maybe to slightly to that who knows like this like the musically you're like that's not really what I'm going for. I'm going for a feeling, which I think is actually the best ways to tell stories is because if I don't feel anything, I'm not going to give a shit how awesome your
Exactly.
solo is, right? I'm not going to give a shit, right? I might have a moment where it's like, oh, cool, but that doesn't
It's not gonna make it stand out there.
no,
Definitely.
no. There's lots of people that can do great solos and standouts and it's all in how you tell a story. And like a lot of people, this took me a long time. I'm gonna ask this. How old are you?
31.
Okay. I'm 40. It took me to like 35, so you're probably smarter than I am. That's okay. I can live with that. I can
Come,
live. I can live
come
with
on, man.
that.
No, no.
No, no, no. I'm having some fun. Hey, little self-deprecation is good for the ego. I have a big enough head as is. I can handle a little self-deprecation, right? So the but I think it's the hardest thing about telling, like, in any art. It's like, okay, why should I care, right?
Uh, that's that's what I ask myself when I write a song. Uh, why should people that listen to it care about this song? And sometimes I'm like, well, what about people that don't give a shit about history and stuff like that? And of course, you cannot apply to the 100% of the world population when you're doing art, but it's true that I try to be as open as possible to people that are not even metal fans sometimes. Like if you we are fairly melodic, so even if you're not super like hardcore metalhead, I think you can find some stuff that you can enjoy. But that's the point. Like the reaction that I seek is from I want the reaction of a listener. I don't want the listener to be specifically a metalhead, and it's true that I ask myself that before I write the lyrics of a song. Like, what is this gonna mean for somebody that is reading this, and it's not myself because I already know it. Of course, I'm writing it, and I know what is my message. But is my message going to filter the mind of somebody else? And I think that. I had this big question mark up until the release of the album when I started getting reviews and I started to see that people were getting it. And that was a big relief because it was like, okay, the message is going through.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Like, 'cause obviously, the first time you do something, you're trying to figure out what sticks. But you've already found a kind of thing that kind of does stick now. So now when you write, are you like, do I focus on my niche, right? What I've carved for myself, or do you go try to go bigger?
From now on, I don't like to put boundaries. I don't like boundaries in general, so I don't like to put boundaries. It's true that we have found something that kind seems that is working at least from an up and coming act starting for the first time to expand a little bit outside our little underground world. I think that the road ahead is infinite. Like we are just starting, and this can go everywhere, literally. And but I think that if we are here, we arrived here, we arrived it because we worked in a certain way. It doesn't mean that we have to keep on working the same way.
Mhm.
So I think that the future. I don't overthinking. I think it's something that's going to happen, and it's true that we have to take care of the people that have arrived with us now and are with us now and following us now, and that probably expect something in the same thing, the same way. But at the same time, I don't want it to be a burden. So I
No,
don't
I
want
get
it
that.
to stop us from experimenting and doing stuff that probably or maybe it's not exactly related with it. I think that the general point of view that we have is the same as a pirate, to seek freedom, and we want to seek freedom in music and in storytelling, and I think that that's the point there.
No, I only ask this because again, from a business point of view, it's a hard balance. I realize that, you rolled your eyes a little bit when I
Because you
said that.
mentioned the B word.
Well, but let's be honest. You are I So again, so I'm gonna say another B word, and this is gonna sound really terrible. Boundaries. Hear me out. I don't want. I'm not trying because I totally I understand where you're coming from. But but sometimes I think the best thing I've learned in life is your limitations are what inspire your creativity, if you know
Yes,
what I mean.
yes,
So,
definitely. I agree
y- r-
100%. Yes.
yeah, so I look at it kind of like I look at it kind of more like, okay, so if I'm working on my niche, which for me is experimental writing and other I built a board game by accident, that kind of stuff. It's like I'm gonna go down that because I'm much like you. I explored the possibilities. of what I can do. But at the same time, I've made a very conscious choice about the kind of artist I'm going to be, in the sense that, okay, I'm gonna write some epic poetry every once in a while. I'm going to be playing with, like, I'm a big Japanese light novel guy. I love that format design. So I'm gonna be like, okay, this is the kind of shit. Now, it may not be, I might go more to like an old school science fiction pulp novel because I like me those old school science fiction pulp novel, but I'm going to add some Japanese light novel sensibilities to it because that's the shit I like. So fuck
Yeah,
it, I'm going to do it,
yeah,
right?
makes sense. It makes sense.
Right?
Yes,
Totally makes sense. I'm cool if that's where I am right now. Now, again, organically, that's going to change. Much like this, like I've done a lot of these podcasts, how it started and where it's at now is a completely different,
definitely.
right? So there's going to be an organic growth to what you do. And I am not saying that, but what I'm saying is, developing that niche of what you digging into the gold mine of the niche you find, right? From a yes, the B word of business, but also from the B word of boundaries and creativity. Giving yourself a chance to explore the space you're in sometimes will create new possibilities.
Yeah,
Ironically, the
exactly.
limitations we set on ourselves give us possibly more freedom. Now, limitations others set on ourselves, that's another story
No,
altogether.
no,
So
definitely.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. But the limitations sometimes we put on ourselves as a challenge can actually sometimes bring out the very best in us.
I agree. I agree completely with you, and especially when I look into the state of our business, which is metal music, which is a business that you almost would not call it a business because it's probably not even a business. The way we, I mean, it's not profitable at all, definitely, from a lot of points of view,
Oh
and
yeah.
uh, and I think that if I were to look in the uh, money wise, and like I want to get as much money as I can from this, I would not probably be doing what I do. I understand that this, and again, heading into that sort of hypocrisy there. That is, I know that I'm not going to get a lot of money out of this, but yet I want to invest as much as I can to have the best product possible because I understand where the business is at. And the business here, if you want to do symphonic metal music or symphonic pirate metal music, there's only as much as you can get because you just have to look at the bands that are on top of you and they are better than you or more famous, let's say, even if I don't like the word famous because it's uh,
Fame makes you more money. That's just that's the honest
yes,
truth.
exactly. So I see on top of myself and I see the effort that it takes to them to keep doing what they do and make a living out of it. And I'm not sure that I want that. So that's the point. That's
Oh yeah.
also something that you have, for example, I have to make sure that people, when they join Crusade of Bards or when they are in Crusade of Bards, they have to understand this. We don't expect this to be our livelihood. We don't expect Crusade of Bards to be our livelihood because that I know what it takes. I know what it takes to make a living out of metal music, and apart from COVID and whatever the hell's, I know the bands like Helveti, 200 and so what shows every year on the road, away from home, playing a lot, becomes mechanic. It loses the unicity of a live show. It becomes your job, and in the bad way. So I know what it takes to make it on paper, of course. I know what it takes to make it in Europe out of metal music in the European metal scene, and I'm not sure that I want it, and I'm sure that my bandmates don't want it. And I know this is a very harsh statement, if I
No.
may say so myself, but um, I want to see this as something that helps me and helps people that listen to us to to enter a world that is free from all the shit that we have in our real one. And in order to be able to do that, I need to have this focus, which is contradicting itself, like not making a living out of it, and at the same time being as professional as possible. I know it's hard to understand, but I think that the freedom of artistic creation, in our case, does not allow us to jump that. And also because it will mean to sacrifice or maybe quit our jobs that we have right now, and maybe, you don't know, there is an uncertainty. What happens if a new coronavirus arrives, a new war begins? So it's
S-
uh, it's it's a difficult balance, but this is the what I can say, that it's honest to us.
No, okay. So I say this honestly because I'm freelancing right now. I'm a writer. I produce shows. I make my living that way. You have to love it. You
Yes.
really, really have to love it because where okay, cool. You disappeared there for a second there. So it's like, oh,
Ah,
okay, no, you're back. Don't worry, invisible man. No, so
probably living in the mountains doesn't help internet connection, but
oh,
I'm.
I live in the mountains too. I'm in Canmore,
Oh,
Alberta. Yeah, I'm in
oh,
Can.
yes, Alberta. I would love to visit those places. God damn it.
Maybe not right now, but yes,
Well,
Canada's going through its own little
yeah.
upheavals
Well,
at the
when the
moment.
truck drivers is up a little bit, maybe.
Maybe when our leaders are slightly less nuts. But that's again, we
Oh,
won't.
but that's difficult, right?
Yeah, it's difficult.
Because the
So
next one may be more nuts than the previous one. So
it's getting to the point that's actually kind of hard to tell. I mean, and I don't know if that's a happy or sad commentary on the world, but that's another story altogether. We won't go into that today. Here's what I will say. It's like I will say this. I think honestly, it's very possible for any artist to make a living with their art. I think it's absolutely possible. But you have to love the process of getting there,
exactly,
and that is again the B word, business. You got to treat yourself like you're a business. You got to treat yourself. There's discipline involved. You got to be willing to make this a permanent commitment, and you got to make sure that people appreciate what you're doing, right? And you got to keep going and going and going in spite of all those uncertainties. Now, what I will say to you is I think the uncertainty of the future would push you guys better if that was the path you wanted to go on, because that uncertainty again embraces creativity. Necessity is the mother of all inventions. You might
no,
discover
no,
a brand
that's
new,
true.
right?
That's true.
But this is the ultimate thing. Do you want this way? And there is no crime, whatever that answer actually is, as long as you're honest with yourself about it. The only time I ever get on somebody is when it's like this. I'm gonna do it, but that's not what you said. You said, I don't want, you said this right up the front. I don't want to go down this path. That's clear,
Exactly, exactly.
right?
The fact is that
The
that's exactly the point. I'm totally honest with myself. I'm not in denial about it,
yeah,
and we got to a point when we were like, we have the opportunity. Like, if I spend probably a month or two organizing it, I would probably be able to uh, find some spots in tours for 2023 or the end of 2022, and
okay.
probably get ourselves 60 or 70 shows. I've been on the road before the coronavirus with other bands or with Crusade of Bards. We've been on the road. We know how hard the road is,
Yeah.
and and uh, and again, we know everything that is involved in the process of doing that, and that's exactly the point. Like, we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to be honest of what we want to do. And I think that there is nothing wrong in saying that I just don't want to do it. I
Eh,
just don't want to do it, and
There is
that's perfectly fine.
as long as you're honest about it, there's absolutely nothing.
Exactly,
Right. As long right. That's the thing. Like I have this theory about life. At the end of the day, no matter what, people do exactly what they want to do. That's it. No more, no
exactly,
less. The only real question is this: are you aware of what those wants are, or do your wants control you? That's it. If your wants control you, it's not you're not being honest with yourself. If you
exactly.
control your wants, you're honest with yourself. And once you're honest with yourself, there's virtually almost no wrong choice you can make. There
That's
are
exactly.
exceptions,
Yeah, of course.
but
No, no, no. I agree. I agree completely. That's the thing, and that was a big step for
Yeah.
us to understand that, and to everybody in the band to understand it, because it's very easy to chase the dragon, because the dragon is in front of you and you want to catch it, and but the dragon is always going to be in front of you and you're never going to catch it. So uh, the thing is, do we want to catch the dragon or try to catch the dragon? Because probably we don't want.
At this point, no. Now, maybe when you get a little bigger, you might rethink that. You might. You're right. It's
Of
probably
course,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
it's
right.
not set in stone. Of course,
No,
of course.
yeah, but again, and I want to say it's like even though I've had many people here, I've had some part like I had a writer friend of mine. His main goal in life is to be the best dad possible. Writing is needed like his second or third, and that's on it. To be perfectly honest with you, totally fair. I got like again, we all have our priorities in our life. As long as like you obviously value your home time, you probably value your family, whoever they are, and
Exactly.
you value the life you have. There's
And
nothing wrong with that at all.
exactly. And the
Yeah.
good thing is that we made this decision after understanding what it takes to do the that way, because otherwise you're just making an excuse like, oh, I'm not famous is because the system, no, 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 but how do you know how the system works? That's important, because you have to analyze the system you are want to be in or you don't want to be, because in order to make a choice you have to know stuff. You cannot make choices without, because that's just foolishness, right?
Yeah.
So once we've been in the European metal scene for almost 10 years now, Crusade of Bards or other bands. So we know a lot of people, we know how it works, we know what it takes, and only then we decided, because otherwise it's just being a fool to me, without
Yeah.
insulting anybody. But for me, when you make a decision and you do not have the whole picture in front of you, and of course you took your ego aside and you assessed yourself from the outside, that's when you can make a decision. That's when you can say, okay, here we are, what we want to do. This is in our case, we want to play as much as we can without stressing ourselves. uh, we don't have any problem in taking planes and go playing in very far away from Spain. We live in Spain, so we are like in the corner. It always takes a
Yeah.
bit to get to the center of Europe and everything. We are not going to take that away from us. We just don't want to do it 200 nights a year. That's it. And I think
Yeah.
that finding that balance is very important for the well-being and of the band, and meeting the needs of everybody and everybody's lives. It's what gives the band structure and what helps expand the band and makes the band grow, even if we are not doing every day a show.
You see the ego thing you mentioned it. See, big head, like big head, right? So I gotta like I made it like I'm just gonna speak from my perspective. I made the decision because I just recognize that my time is precious. And I want to just like I would like very much like you. I think we're like is we want to do the things we love. I have the luxury or the non-luxury. I don't have a wife or kids to feed right now. So I can try to figure out how to do it on my own. Right. And that's what I've been doing. And it's been ups and downs. I don't know, like this is just the I maybe made this difference. I don't know if I'm wired to ever go back to working for somebody again. Just after all my experiences of what I've done on my own, I don't know if there is a job per se that I'd be willing to go. There might be some, but it'd have to be something really interesting,
Yeah, I
right?
understand you. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, but again, it's being honest with who you are as a professional and personally. That's it, and you just gotta and you gotta make those decisions. Um, and like I said, there are other ways you guys can reach out to people, like this interview show, for example. I mean, right? I mean, just a quick thought aside here. Have you guys thought of doing something like on Twitch?
We did. We did. We just have to think about it a little bit more. Like the
Well, that's
general idea of doing it, it's okay. We also have, there is also a place, for example, in Germany that organizes the concerts live on Twitch. Everything is already set. You just have to go there and play like a normal show, and they have everything organized to be live on Twitch. We thought about opening a Twitch. I thought about opening a Twitch myself. I just did not have the time to really
fair.
go into it, because we are right now, album was released last week or 2 weeks ago. We are all in the middle of the promo thing, so it's a lot of work right now.
Oh yeah.
When it will be a little bit already, released and everything. But I think that this, for example, is very important. I enjoy a lot doing this kind of interviews where you just don't have the typical
Bullshit.
the typical. I didn't want to say bullshit, but the
No, no,
typical
no, let's
thing
be
in a interview, like this is the song and whatever the hell. But I think that this is very important. This is part of it. Like
Mhm.
this moment right now, this chat we're having, this is part of me enjoying being in Crusade of Bards or being part of Crusade of Bards. So everything is connected. It's not like I'm here promoting my album, so buy the album and see you next album. It's not just like that. Having this conversation, having this moment with you, for the people that are seeing this, and I think it's also important. It's also part of it, and I think that's why somebody, when you have a band, sometimes you only focus on one thing and one track mind.
Yeah.
People, I say, oh, we want to play Wacken, we want to be. What about all the rest? Enjoy the journey, because
Oh
you
yeah.
don't know when shit's going down. And so enjoy the journey, enjoy every single part of it, everything that you have to do for the band, the organizing stuff, doing promo, doing podcasts, writing down an email for applying for festivals or whatever. Enjoy every part of it, because that's very important, because otherwise it becomes mechanic and it creates a lot of frustration. And if it creates frustration, problems are going to rise up to the top very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So that's the mindset, I
The
think.
thing about labors of love doesn't matter whether you're doing them for whatever reasons you're doing them. It doesn't matter. You want to keep it loving because it's one of the things
Exactly.
that makes life worth living. And if someone tries to come and take that joy from you, right? I'm not what you do to them is I'm not going to say on the air. It's like you do everything in your power to be ruthless in the sense that your enjoyment of this journey is paramount. And that and again, there's parts of it that no matter how much you enjoy it will feel like a job. That's not it. It's the parts where it's like someone's trying to take your joy away or someone's trying to not like that's the stuff you have to guard against. Everything else,
Exactly.
enjoy it because again, success. Here's the only thing I've completely disagree with you on is you never know. This album might just sell 1,000,000 copies, you know, right? And
Oh
then if
yeah,
that
what
happens,
are the odds,
oh, well, hey, listen. It was 60. What are the odds of this conversation? Right?
Oh,
They're
that's
pretty.
true.
They're
That's
pretty
true.
astronomically high, right?
Yes,
So,
that's
and
true.
yet here we are, bullshitting about passion, pirates, and whatever else, and I've made lots of self-deprecating jokes which have made you laugh. So I know you have a sense of humor, which is really good, right? So we've had some fun. But the odds of this and even the okay, I think the most amazing thing about living in this century this time is this. You're in Spain. I'm in Canada.
Yeah,
And we're
that's true.
and we're shooting the shit, right? That
Exactly.
is such a cool thing. It really, really is. And I never take it for granted. It's one of the reasons I keep doing these, right? Now, will I become rich and shameless? I'm one of the two already. So, I mean, I'm halfway there. That's how I got to look at it, right? But the other part of it, though, is too, is the biggest successes of my life, the biggest have been surprises. I just did something and things happened. I'll give you an example. I accidentally wrote and got published in my first book. So what ended up happening was I was doing a poetry collection. I'd been out of writing for a bit.
Hmm.
I wanted to get back into it. And I had this idea of like a slave boy like in a tower looking up into the horizon and serving dragon masters. I wrote it was a longer poem. I wanted to try something a little longer, so I wrote something longer. I really liked it. Like, it was like, okay, what happens next? Well, chapter 2, he kills his dragon master. It's like, okay, I gotta know what happens next. Chapter 3, his first night alone in the woods. I really, really, really like just that was probably again still some of my favorite writing. And then I just kept going, and then I realized that this was my poetry collection. Like it was an accident I discovered this, but I did it, and this happened. But here's the real, like, wonderful, one of a kind miracle things. My plan was to get this on Smashwords. That was my
Hmm.
master plan. That's it. I had nothing else planned for that.
Yeah. All right.
So I put it up on Smashwords. Someone buys it to me like relatively quickly. Someone I interviewed a long time ago, and she goes to me, "This is really cool. What are you going to do with it?" What I just told you, pretty much, right? So she goes, "That's really cool. Listen, I just made a deal with Ingram Spark. I'm starting a publishing house. I'll publish this. I did something. Things happen, and a lot of my career is that way. This show's won awards. My Alice book I told you about, the first
Hmm.
one got nominated for an award. I just put shit out there. I'm not expecting like the moon, the sun, and the stars either. Again, I am grounded enough to realize that me being the next Harry Potter is not likely to happen, but it
No, no,
could.
it's true. I
It,
agree completely. I don't want to pass here as a pessimist or something that I don't believe in myself or our music.
no,
No,
no, no, no.
it's not. It's true, and it's true that everything that comes is welcome, and we will be happy with everything. It's also true that I'm an engineer, so I tend to look even if I don't work like an engineer, but because
I
other
actually
other stuff.
you do.
But
I so this impression, this whole conversation, your music, you're very like your storytelling senses probably inform your engineering as much as your engineering informs your music. I could probably see that just
yeah,
from this
it's
conversation.
you're not the first one to tell that, and I will start to believe it. Apparently, yeah. So, no, but the point is, at I I I'm really happy already with the
Mhm.
result of the album, and it's been out for 2 weeks. But I'm really happy because I think that the effort, the economical, emotional effort, and everything involved got validated by our label, by Rockshot Records, because they did a fantastic work, and got validated by the people that we don't know and wrote us about it, and the reaction that it had with our fans, and people that were not our fans and now they are. So everything that comes now on top of it,
Yeah.
that's just
No, no. I will never underestimate. Like you did it. Like there's
exactly.
no that going out there and saying, "Here I am," whatever your goals are, takes great courage, right? And that's not just to you; it's to your bandmates as well, because it's their. I
Exactly.
imagine it's their vision as much as it is yours. All
It
right,
is. It is
yeah,
definitely.
you're right. So kudos to them as well. It takes guts to do that. It doesn't matter if just one person reads it or listens to it or sees it. It doesn't matter if it's one or a million. You still did it. That doesn't
Exactly.
right, right?
No, no, it's true. And I don't look, for example, I don't look at social media numbers because I don't like it. I don't look at, uh, for me, the numbers are important, but you have to give importance to the numbers that you want to give importance because numbers are everywhere. So that's the point. Like when I say validated, they say this because I've reached with this album what I wanted, which is this album is well presented in a good way, good promo. It arrived to a lot of places, and the reaction of those people is what I wanted, and that fills me emotionally, musically, and as a human being, and it fills my bandmates, and that's really really important. And so if I get the sale sheet from Rockshot in 2 months, and I think they're gonna send me after 3 months, I don't really care about the number that is gonna be on top of it, because now I'm already fulfilled.
So, so I think that actually, okay, we're gonna bring the B word back into this. It's actually good business practice too, and here's why. Right? That I'm gonna tell you this. I think you guys are going to get bigger. How much bigger? I don't know, but I do think
Thank
you are. But here's why. You have a clear vision of who you are and what you want to do. That alone puts you leaps and miles ahead of even a lot of the bands, your contemporaries. Not all of them, but a lot of them. That alone is huge. You're
thanks.
doing it because you love it. And I do not underestimate how powerful that really is. You're true to your voice, you're true to your vision. Again, how big you get, I'm not gonna I have no fucking clue. But I do think you guys are going to get bigger because at the very fundamental level of art and yes, even business, you're sound. Like you're very fundamentally sound. The fact that you're not looking for the I've won awards. Don't mean shit unless you can do some. You're not after validation, which I think is one of the biggest things you have going for you. It's not about validation. It's about putting again, going out there, here I am. What I mean by validation, yes, it's nice that your peers are supporting you, but you're not the fact that you've done it fulfills you already.
Exactly.
Right? And that's the don't get me wrong, I think your album's great, honestly. I think your album's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
But I and guys, yeah, definitely listen to it. If you're listening to this now,
Of course.
definitely listening or watching. Yeah, just go check them out. We're getting to promo time soon. But I just wanted to like I say it like this is most of the stuff that a lot of bands destroy themselves on, you're not doing at all. And that is I think that puts you farther ahead than what you think just because you know what you know what not to do, if that makes sense. Right?
No,
And
no,
you're
no.
not
It's true.
doing
It's
those
true.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true what you say, and I really hope that this continues like this. Again, I don't have a crystal sphere in front of me, and I
No.
don't know what the future holds. But it's true that I am confident of the vision. I'm confident of our journey and where we are heading. And I think that that is really important. And it's up to you guys outside of the band to tell us if we are in the right direction, and I appreciate you saying that because it gives me outside that, and outside that is always important, and I appreciate a lot, and I think that for us, again, this is good, this is good. So whatever comes next, it's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. So I have 9 rules to success. But the rule all right, I have 9. So
That's a
rule
lot of them.
yeah. So do you want to hear
Well,
them?
success is difficult, you need a lot of rules, makes sense.
Yeah, okay. So here, do you want to hear them? Just out of
Of
curiosity, because
course, yeah, yeah. Now you have.
rule 1, show up. I know that's
Yes.
like the dumbest fucking rule ever, but I have most people fail at that one.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's dumb.
I I
I don't
I
think it's
I I
maybe obvious to say it, but I don't think it's dumb.
no, no, like as you get older, you realize that the people that show up in your life are the truly valuable ones, and you realize the younger, it's like people that don't fucking matter, and you just really like you come to that realization, and it's just like I just want someone to show up. It's that simple. Rule 2, do your shit. Right.
Mhm.
Rule 3, the cliche, don't quit. 1 and 3 are the reasons why people fail. 1 and 3.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna make a slight thing. Don't quit because or if you do quit, don't quit because it's hard. Quit because it sucks. That's it. If you quit because it sucks, that's an entirely different thing because when you quit when it's hard, right? Rule 4,
All right.
the rest is rain. So here's the paradox of success is this. You can do absolutely everything correctly and still fail. Coincidentally, right? You can do if you do none of those things, you are guaranteed to fail. So, your job, and I think this is the job of every artist, business, whatever, is to put yourself in the best position to succeed. Whatever that success looks like for you. And that's your real job. You put the best product you can, you show up, you do what you're supposed to do, and you just trust it's going to work out. That's it. Rule 5, get the fuck out of your own way. When you do see success, right? When you do see success, um, uh, take a step back, realize how you got here, realize what you do well, and finally, what you don't do well. Because you may not be able to entirely avoid the third, but understanding those things will help you very much to stay successful. Rule 6, be grateful, be charitable, thank everybody. No one owes you anything. Rule 7, no excuses. There's just none.
It's important one.
Yeah, it is very important. No excuses. You do or you don't. It's fine either way, but you do or you don't. Uh, Rule 8, don't fall in love with outcomes. Outcomes are the most dangerous
Ooh,
thing in the world.
yup.
Right? They're the most
Big
dangerous
yup
thing.
to that.
Yes. It's okay to have a goal, but don't be so enamored with it, right? That you don't do anything. and I forget what rule 9 is off the top of my head. I'm trying to think about it, but I think these are
Yeah,
good
it's
rules.
still impressive to have 8 on top of your head, and I agree with them all. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, Apollo, I'm going to ask you one of the lame questions you get in a music interview because I think it's a good way to wrap up. Because the
It's
reason,
already been a fucking hour. It's
oh,
usually
yeah, 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 it was
if
good.
it was for me, we were talking 3 hours. I never shut up. It's like I
No,
tell my bandmates, like sometimes you need to tell me to shut up.
no, dude. You're a passionate guy. You've been. We could go another hour because I think at one point, not now, but at one point, you are chasing that dragon. All right,
Yes,
at one point, and
that's why I know there is a dragon.
yeah, exactly, and I think there's a good story there, and maybe another when you guys, if you ever want to come back and do another show again, we'll talk
I would
about
love
that a
to.
little bit.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
but what I was gonna here's my lame question. Here, actually, I got two lame questions, and then we're gonna get to the plugs and shit. Of this current album, what was the hardest song for you to put together? And maybe you individually or you as a band?
Oof, I think I'm gonna go with this band because individually, everybody has a
Yeah.
can have an answer, and everybody has done different stuff. That's a hard one. I think I'm gonna say that the hardest one was Lies and Ashes, the one that we have with Fabio Leone from Rhapsody, Angra, and what a hundred other bands that he's involved with. Uh, because with Lies and Ashes, it happened something that it kind of happened also with other songs, but especially in this one. That one thing is to have a song in your head that sounds fantastic. It's like, oh, well, this is the best song ever. And then you have to go from here to here, right? So that's a big step. And in our heads, the voice of Fabio Leone in the song it was a fantastic fit. Then we were pre-production of the song. Is like, where the hell do we put Fabio Leone here? So at the end, we were like, okay, let's just talk to him. And this was a big step because for us, it's like we are really gonna ask him for not, typically collaborations with a famous guy or singer. Have the songs and send the song to the guy. Songs goes to the studio, 20 minutes records. You get track back, and that's it, right? But in this case, we got really lucky because Fabio got involved directly in his parts and he molded his voice to the song. Something that I was surprised by it. I have to be honest because I did not expect a guy like Fabio Leone to care a shit about us, and yet he went the whole way. Like he was constantly talking with me. It was constantly giving me feedback on it, and I think I'm going to do this and that, and I think that was really really important. So something that was really difficult became very easy thanks to him and thanks to everybody involved in sync working together. And at the end, the result was not the one that we had in our heads, but I tell you something, sometimes, almost always, it's better because you need feedback. You need somebody from the outside to correct you, to say, okay, I think this works better like this works better the other way. And I have to thank Fabio for it. And I have to thank Fabio also for the help that he, without asking, gave us in searching for labels to publish the record. And I think that you have to really point out that a guy like him that has absolutely no necessity of doing it helps a young and up and coming act like us. And I think that I'm very very happy with the result of the song and the result of the whole album. But I think that that was a difficult part to go through, but good in the end.
Oh, okay. So now I'm gonna give you the other lame question. This is the pick your children correction. The question every band guy hates, but I have to do it because I think it's a good way to wrap up. What's your favorite song on the album? Is it that one or
Oh,
because
I
let's be
I'm gonna
honest,
say
you
the
love them
one that
all.
I'm sorry.
Let's be honest, you love them all, but they're all your children. But some of them you might like maybe you like
I'm,
perform one
I'm gonna
better,
tell you the
maybe.
one I'm most attached
Mm,
because my favorite, I change that every day. So we do this today, I'm tell you one song, and then tomorrow I'm tell you another one, right?
Mhm.
So I'm gonna say the one that I'm most attached is the first one, the Northwest Passage. uh, for many reasons, and all of them are personal. Like I don't know the others what they think, but personally, the Northwest Passage is because I got the inspiration for the whole concept of the album while thinking about making the song, and also because I like everything to be connected. And the album starts with a failed British expedition that was then succeeded by Roald Amundsen, and ends with a failed British expedition that was succeeded by Royal Amundsen, and also because the story that I learned from a documentary from the BBC, one of these old, very long documentaries with actors and everything, super, super big productions, not like the Aliens of History Channel now. Uh, it was a really emotional documentary with and I found something that really struck me, and I found that the wife of Captain Franklin, which was the captain of the British expedition to the Northwest Passage, was named Eleanor, and she was a writer in the Romanticism. And our singer, artistic name is Eleanor, and her favorite genre is Romanticism. And so I said, this is connected. Everything is connected. And I want to write a love letter from Franklin that is at the same time a sort of diary of the expedition, and begins with this buzz and excitement for this great adventure in front of them, and slowly this adventure turns into a nightmare, and the despair and the tragedy arrives. And this all emotional journey, which is super well accompanied by the music, I think that makes it, I don't know if my favorite, but the one that I'm most personally attached to.
Yeah, that's a really cool story. That's really, really
It
cool.
is. It
Yeah,
is a
and
very cool
that's
story.
a
Yeah.
that's a really good way, I think. I think, good sir, we have a good interview here. What do you think?
I think that I had a fantastic time. It was fantastic to know you. I really hope that we do this again, and I really want you to write me with all your stuff because I want to read your stuff. So please spam yourself to me.
Sure. No,
Uh,
I will totally. Actually, I'm going to give you a little bit of a spam tonight, but at the end. But first, we're going to talk about your album and how people can find you. So I know we're totally professional here. So if you want to send me the links via the chat, I'll put them up on there for the Witch.
yeah, well, I don't have the links right now at hand, but I'm
Trained
very bad at
professional.
social media. I'm sorry, but
No, no, it's all good. It's all good.
it's very easy. You just can find, of course, Facebook and Instagram, and two main ways of finding us. The YouTube is also another one. We do not have a channel ourselves. We do not really have a channel, but go check our videos out on the Rockshot Record YouTube channel, alongside with all the amazing bands that we share the roster with. And I think that the distribution in the North America is done by Asher Media, and I don't have much more news about how you could find physical copies there. I think in Walmart somewhere you can find it, but I'm not sure. And apart from that, you can even search ourselves in our social media. And others, my social media are artistic social media. I don't post personal stuff, so I add everybody, and they are always open to write us and contact with us as much as they want.
So I'm going to send everybody here real quick here. This is Lies and Ashes from Rockstar Records. You can go watch us, watch them perform. This album is ridiculously fun. Again, yes, it was a little bit of that Nightwish Epica thing that kind of made me go, yes, but I love your twist. If you like really good stories, honestly, uh, Paulo and company are they're. I have found this with European. I'll say this with European power metal. Most of you guys are romantics at heart, in spite of everything I've ever. You just the Night, you mentioned Nightwish. I still love their version of the national anthem. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard in my life. And but yes, I'm saying this like most metal people. especially from Europe. They are romantics at heart, and Crusade of Bards is no exception to this because they do a wonderful album. I can't recommend it enough. I was very fortunate to get to listen to it early. I'm probably going to be buying it with my next paycheck. It's kind of like a shut up, take my money moment. So, but I want to thank Paulo. I want to thank Crusade of Bards. Um, and tell your band my best to them, all of them. You
I
guys do
will.
wonderful. You do wonderful things. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is my latest book. It's called Alice One. So Alice in Wonderland is Greek mythology. Alice is Pandora. Alice chases the Queen of Hearts over the edge of the world and ends up in the Greek underworld, where to escape, she must play a game of croquet against Jason of the Argonauts. And in this underworld labyrinth, Alice and company encounter gods, monsters, and perhaps most terrifying of all, themselves. This book is available now exclusively on Amazon as a digital. As I figure out my freelance crap a little bit more, there'll be physical copies eventually as well. Written by yours truly, illustrated by Kenzie Carr. And that will do this for this wonderful episode of Just Joshing. I want to thank Paolo for coming on. I want to thank Crusade of
Thank you
Bards.
so much.
Have yourselves a wonderful day. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. You stay here. I got something I have to ask you before you